lot of us have been led to believe that the church has not been very good historically, but there are a lot of good things the church has given us which we take for granted. Hey guys, welcome back to KingdomCraft, where I build this church in Minecraft while I talk about Christianity. And this episode is just going to be a brief overview of some of the great things the church has done historically. I might do a more in-depth one in the future, but yeah, this is meant to just be a very brief for those of you who like me, I don't know, maybe went to a public school where you were taught that the church was the most evil thing in human history and did a bunch of terrible things. And it wasn't until the amazing, secular, progressive people came and changed everything and made society more advanced. So, in basically every, atheist Instagram page, or in a lot of public schools, there's just this general accusation that the church has held back society, that the church has been regressive, the church supported slavery, the church is anti-science. It's like, if anyone who studies history, even atheists who actually study history, not Reddit pseudo-history, but real history, will know that that's just blatantly false. So, one thing the church did was, right now I will agree, there are a lot of evangelical Protestant Christians who are kind of anti-science in their denial of evolution and stuff, but historically the church has actually, not only sponsored science, the church basically invented our modern concept of science, the Catholic Church. In the Middle Ages, the church was the only ones really sponsoring science. And although many different societies have made contributions to the scientific world, nothing matches what the medieval church has done. And it's a total myth that the church tortured Galileo for his scientific work. They didn't torture him at all. They funded his work. They supported his work. The only reason they ever opposed something he did was when he didn't show his evidence. But it wasn't because it went against their religion. That's not true at all, and that's a blatant lie. So there's that. The church also invented the modern university systems. There were universities, there were schools before the church, but what they invented was the university system, so that credits could be exchanged between universities and like that. They invented a lot of things that are ingrained into Western society. They also invented the hospital system too. During the days of the Roman Empire, no one really cared about the poor and the sick. A lot of modern progressives are actually somewhat Christian in their influence. I'm not saying they're Christian, they're very anti-Christian, but they're still influenced by Christianity because it's a Christian idea that you should care about the poor and the oppressed. During the ages of the Roman Empire, no one really cared about that. It was like might makes right. That was the philosophy back then. It's like, critical race theory could never have sold in a society influenced by Roman philosophy. It'd be like, hey, you're oppressing this ethnic minority, and the emperor would be like, good, I don't want them rising up against me. So, yeah. And see, another thing they did was simply the way they structured the family. And with the breakdown of Christianity, we're actually reverting to a lot of the same problems that existed in pre-Christian times. You may have heard of the incel movement, which I'm not endorsing, by the way, but it's a lot of young sexually frustrated men because, they can't find a partner. Because what naturally happens is, the top 20% most attractive men will get 80% of the women. That's just how it happens. Don't ask me why. But when that happens, it's actually very dangerous because then you'll have a lot of frustrated young men who won't be able to find partners, and just historically, it's dangerous when you have a bunch of depressed, frustrated young men who don't have anything to do. And what the church did, because they believed that this was what they were commanded to do by God, was they enforced monogamy for everyone. They said, everyone should, every man just has one wife, every woman one husband. And of course, they gave people the option to not get married if they didn't want to. But yeah, what they said was that everyone should be monogamous. So most societies historically were polygamous, and even though we're not literally polygamous now because of, like, you know, the hookup culture is basically just a modified form of polygamy, because people just have so many partners. But the Christian society was the first, like, really major society to be strictly monogamous, and that was very good for society because it meant basically everyone could, if they really wanted, everyone could have a partner, and that was very important. But now, of course, with, you know, the way sexual relations work in the modern world, we're sort of reversing that, and I'm very scared to see what the long-term effects of that will be, because if you it's really bad for society if you have if you destroy the family structure. And those who are against Christianity are really intent on destroying the family structures that have been created by Christianity. Another thing is the church basically created the concept of the individual, because it used to be that everyone lived in clans, but the church sort of broke up the clan structure by banning cousin marriages. Cousins used to marry each other all the time, but the church put an end to that. And that's why there are, like, no more clan structures anymore. It's like, you can understand why they did that, but because of that created, like, the modern Western nuclear family. And a lot of progressives are Marxist in nature, and one of the goals of Marxism is to destroy the family structure, because it's hard for them to control people if people have stable families. And that's why on the Black Lives Matter official website, before they eventually took it down because people got mad, but they said one of their goals, the Black Lives Matter movement, was dismantling the Western prescribed nuclear family. And the Black Lives Matter movement is influenced by Marxism, because their philosophy, the philosophy of, like, Vladimir Lenin, was make a slogan that nobody can disagree with. So his slogan was, like, peace, land, bread, because no one would disagree with that. Everyone wants peace, everyone wants land, everyone wants bread. So no one, except for, like, some really racist people, are going to disagree with the fact that black lives do matter. But if that's the slogan of a movement that advocates for much more than just basic rights, that they advocate for a complete Marxist revolution, then that's basically how they shoehorn their radical Marxist policies into reasonable sounding ways to just not be racist. So that's the way Marxists always do things. They're never honest about what they really want, what their end goals are. So that's why one of the things I want to do is to educate people on why these traditional Christian, you know, societal values are important. Whether you personally are very religious or not, a Christian culture still is very important. And I'm not one of those, you know, theonomist, post-millennial guys who thinks that, you know, we need a theocracy, so to speak. I'm not advocating for a theocracy. I'm advocating for more of a Christian culture. And I know that realistically, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Christianity's been in a steady decline in the West, and I think we're just too immature to get it back anytime soon. So I think what we should do now, in the meantime, is just until maybe in 300 years there can be a rebirth of Christianity in the West, we should just try and make Christian subcultures. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do in this YouTube channel. Alright, thanks for watching this. So I'm going to speed this up while I collect some stone.